Oh, come on. That's not the way to start here.
Hit him right in the
We
hand.
don't need that. Ball security.
Ball security. Ball.
Yes.
We'll look back at it. We'll get it. Put that on film.
All right. All right. So nothing new really for us. We had a really good day yesterday, which is always good. We'll get our guys going today, but no major change other than what we talked about yesterday.
How about Eddie Jackson and Kyle Long?
Yeah, they're both fine. They're okay. Nothing of concern. I think just a little bit from the game type deal, but they'll be okay.
Ben, how much does Cordell Patterson allow you to give opponents things they just have not seen? I mean, how much does that help you in that regard?
It is. It's a benefit, unless it's 3rd and 1 and you're trying to get a first down with him back there. Then it becomes a problem. But no, it's good. I do. I enjoyed watching him over the years. Watching him come out when he was teammates with Tyler Bray at Tennessee, and so I remember him back then. And now what he's kind of morphed into as a player throughout his career has been it's pretty unique. And what it does as a play caller is it allows you to be flexible with what you do now. So you saw last week we were able to get him on the edge, and he's a big dude that's flying around there with a lot of speed.
As this offense becomes more established, is he somebody who you can kind of keep teams guessing with down the road? I'm saying,
For sure.
Where you could do and
Yeah, you can put him in. He's, to me, he's similar but different to a Cohen. Tariq. You can, they can both play wide receiver. They can both play in the backfield, and then they're both very, very smart. So they understand it's pretty cool to see that the volume they can handle. But we just got to make sure we don't do too much of it.
Hey, Ben, this came across as a very confident team in the offseason program, training camp, the preseason. Has that overall confidence endured after this start to the season?
It's something that I keep using the word adversity, but we were talking this morning and just about the word being uncomfortable. We want to be comfortable being uncomfortable, and I think when you use that and you prepare yourself for that, it helps you. And so there's going to be challenging times that we go through as a team, but we don't look at it as a team. We really stick true to our values of a family. We're brothers and sisters for everybody within this building. And when you stick to that, when you have some tough times, you rally on your partner, on your brother next to you. And that's what we've kind of gone through here, knowing that, offense has struggled, defense has played well, but it doesn't feel that way. So we focus on what's next ahead of us, and that's the whole blinders deal. And that's where we're at. So it's super early in the year. We're 1-1, and now we have a chance to go 2-1.
Can you explain the award that Eddie Goldman won and the significance and why he won it?
So we've been talking really from the off season during training camp, just about the idea of sweeping the sheds and not being too big to do the little things. And that means so many different things. You all heard that when Mitch over training camp, when he talked about that, with just cleaning keeping the locker room clean. But there's a lot of times that people's play and things that people do go unnoticed, and they don't get recognized. Everybody looks for the fantasy stat lines. They want to see who scored the most points to help them win their fantasy game. But there's a lot of people that do the little things that don't get recognized. We want to recognize them. Eddie was one of those, we felt, this past game. He affected the line of scrimmage. He affected the quarterback. He made plays that weren't necessarily in the paper or on the internet. And not to mention that he also played through an oblique, and he played through just showed mental toughness and physical toughness. So I just think that for him, when you have that gets voted upon our coaches and our staff. We want to recognize him, and so that's what we do. We did that, and now hopefully he can hand that to the next person.
When a defense,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll get both of you.
Go ahead, Pat. When a defense is playing with high safeties, really determined to take away downfield shots, what challenges does it present as a play designer and a play caller to get some of those throws downfield?
Yeah, well, there's plays in your playbook to go after the cover two safeties. You got to be able to run the ball. When they have less guys in the box, they have 7 guys in the box. you got to be able to run the ball. And so that's answer number one, and any coach will tell you that. Then the second part is being able to protect, and then so that you can take, they're in cover two for a reason. They're protecting the shots downfield. So there's ways to scheme it, and then if they take away, you know, the deep balls, then you go ahead and you hit the intermediate throws. So it's just kind of to the flavor of that D coordinator.
Matt, you talked yesterday about how when the defense is going good, you like not having to walk over there and check on them. What is the benefit of having a former head coach running? Somebody who's on the sideline to handle whatever needs handling over there versus upstairs.
So your first question is having a guy like Chuck take over this defense. And I mean, we're 20 yards away from each other for every play in practice. So I can see how he's handling his communication with the defense. I see his interaction when we have a good play in practice and his energy that he brings. So when you make that hire with somebody that has experience as a defensive coordinator, experience as a head coach, and who's a good person, the trust, the T word trust is there. And so, you know, I told him that it would take a lot for me to have to really come in there and trying to overstep my boundaries. I'll always oversee. I'll always give advice. But I want him to come in here and feel comfortable to run his defense with our players. And he's done that. What was the second question?
Being on the field versus
Yeah, being on the field is it's really not that too different. I mean, because the only difference is like if I need to grab him for some particular reason, he's right there. But for the most part, last year I could click right on over and talk to Vic. But again, I try to give those guys, you know, the less clutter, the better. So let them do their thing. End of game situation stuff, I'll get down there and I might talk to them about look for this, look for that. But it's really not a big difference.
Because you have that good defense, as a play caller, does that allow you to be more aggressive, knowing that they can get you out of jams? Or is it the other way, like, well, we just can't turn it over because they're going to play so well? Is that kind of a tough?
That's going to probably be the best question of the week right there. That's a good question.
Don't give me that.
I'll give you.
No way.
It is a really good question. I mean, it's one of those deals where, you know, when you have, regardless of who you are, when you're an offensive play caller and you have a really, really good defense, that comes into play for sure. I think human nature, but I don't think you can allow that to happen. If you're a defensive play caller, right, but you're a head coach, usually you're leaning towards, with your defense, maybe trying to play, how's your offense playing right now? So there's some value to that. What I think you need to do is eliminate all that, and you need to just, as regardless, offense or defensive play caller, you just got to call it across the board how you see the game. And so that's, for me, that's a learning process as we go here with me calling plays as the head coach. I'm learning through that, so hopefully I can get better and improve.
Matt, the second and the ball message, why did you choose to emphasize that when you did last week?
Why did we? Well, so the easy answer to that, number one, is first of all, we've done situations from day one since we got here. For a year and a half, we've been doing situations. We don't talk about it and draw white and black lines on a piece of paper. We show video evidence of it happening because the players, they got to see it. So we've always done that, and then we try to stay current. Well, when you see those type of games that just happened with Texans and the Saints, that one there, as a coach, I mean, we're up in our offices the night of that game, the coaches, while the players are gone, and we're calling each other on the phone saying, hey, what would you do here? What play would you run there? How would you defend this? What would you call here? And so we're talking through that. We were talking through it the next morning, which was, Friday morning, I think? We were talking through that. So we took that and said, hey, let's show this to the players, let's involve them, and let's go through this scenario. What if? And that's what we did. And then we don't just talk. We make the players talk. We make them answer questions. What would you do here? Hey, raise your hand if you called timeout, right? What did Coach Payton do? He didn't call a timeout. If you go back to that situation, he let that clock come down to 6 seconds, and he kept the timeout. So situationally, you play it. And then the next part that you take from it is that what just happened? And the emotions went like this. You know, you have a touchdown, 2 plays, touchdown. Then you have the mixed extra point. I'm talking to Houston, the Saints and the Tech, and then they make it, and then they go down and ding, and kick a field goal, and so we showed it, and you feel it, and then it just happened, and so I just think, why not? I mean, use the current stuff that happens.
Both at the time that you're giving the lesson and right before that final drive, how do you know that it's connected with the players?
Well, so I'll tell you exactly what happened is they scored the 2-point conversion, right? Any human being is going to be deflated for about 5 seconds. Normal, okay. We're all deflated for 5 seconds, okay? You can't do anything about that. The only thing you can do is worry about what you have. You got 31 seconds in the ball. That's 30 more seconds than what we say you need, okay? So now it's my job to go over on the sideline and say to everybody, hey, this is ironically enough, this is the exact situation that just happened. And we just watched this 2 days ago. Now let's go make it happen. Think positive. And when you see those guys, when they're sitting down there slouched on the bench, and then they hear that and they feel that, then they get up. Tariq Cohen will tell you, that's the first thing he thought of. He visualized himself catching balls, or not but being out there but seriously though, he visualized himself making a play and seeing it happen. And then you see a guy like Eddie, right? What's Eddie doing in that team meeting? He's watching Lutz from the Saints hit that field goal, right? Positive. And so now when he goes out there, it's his chance to do it, and he did it.
Matt, you talk about the human nature reaction of after that 2-point conversion, you're down, you're deflated. You could have been so deflated if you don't kick that field goal and you're 0-2. How do you hope that just the way that everything happened in that final drive, Eddie's kick, could potentially positively impact things going forward?
Well, the part of him, you're right. If you don't make that kick, I mean, think about the story we have right now, right? I mean, it's different. You're 0-2. You have a kicker that didn't make the kick. Everything, all the blame goes there, and so that didn't happen. So we feel like everything that we've been coaching and teaching and the way the players have been playing and preparing themselves mentally has been to prepare for these moments when you need it. And we needed that moment to happen, and they pulled through. Now, the next part is to eliminate those happening from every week, is to start a lot faster, right? And our defense has done that the last 2 weeks. The offense has not. So we need to get the offense going faster. And let's play a game and see when the offense plays well and the defense plays well. They don't have to be all-star games, but when they both play well, how do we look as a team? That's what we're looking for right now.
Now, what's your evaluation of third down like? Because the numbers aren't great, but you've also had a lot of third and long. So how much of that is let's get better on first and second down versus let's find more ways to convert?
For us, we talked to the team about steady incremental improvement as a team. Forget offense. As a team, let's steadily improve every week, every day, however that is for you. Well, week one offensively, we stank at third down. We weren't very good at all. And we also, one of the reasons why we weren't very good is because there was a lot of 3rd and 9 pluses. So how do you get better? Well, the one way you get better is staying away from 3rd and longs. You get 3rd and manageable. Well, how does that start? That starts with getting 2nd and 6s instead of 2nd and 9s. And so we got better. We steadily got better in this second game. Okay, we protected the football offensively in this second game. So our field position that we had, for what it's worth, has, I think since I've been here in a year and a half, was the worst starting field position we had in a year and a half. You can check me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's real. So you got to go long. So we need to steadily get better, and I think third down wise, we can be more efficient, but that's just a matter of us scheming and then the players making it happen.
League-wide, holding has been kind of an emphasis, this offensive holding. As a coach who's seen it, is it surprising? Is it frustrating when it is that much of an emphasis?
So for us, we were, somebody might throw a stat, I think we were the least penalized holding team in the NFL last year. So that's not in the back of my head. I don't feel like I see that a lot, and I don't feel like I've seen it with us offensively with our line. Maybe a couple times hands to the face, that sort of thing. But I have seen a decent amount against our defense, but there's reason. When I'm watching 52 and 94 go around that edge, there's reasons why they're holding and not getting sacks. So I just feel like to me it hasn't really been evident.
I think it was week one, you guys had, I think, 5 holding or hands to the face.
Yeah.
But week 2 is just those 2.
Yeah.
Is that just a credit to Harry? Is it a credit to just kind of the reminder of like, hey, they're looking for it?
It's both. Well, the one thing that I think they're looking for is the hands to the face, and there's a little bit of subjectivity in those because it happens a lot, and there's some that are and some that aren't called, and so it just depends what side of where you're at on that, and they'll all even out eventually in the end. So we just got to teach our guys, hey, know the rule and do whatever you can to not, if you do touch their face mask, don't extend and don't lift it, get it off type deal. Good? All right, guys, thank you.
Good job, Judy.
afternoon.
What's the way you guys can get the downfield passing game going a little bit more efficiently and a little bit more incisive than you guys have so far?
Yeah, by product of everybody. The execution up front, the execution throwing, catching, precision of route running, timing of, in the game plan of where it comes up, and making it happen. Kind of all contribute to that.
What impact do you feel of that right now with, in terms of the greater plan offensively, not being able to hit some downfield shots and do the things you want to do downfield?
Yeah, I mean, obviously explosive plays are a big deal, and we'd love to have a ton of them. The first game was different than the second game in terms of both why things did or didn't happen, and then, just of kind of how they, whatever the right word is, kind of make you earn it a little bit differently in Denver. And so therefore our plan was a little bit different. But you still have to be able to, again, it comes down to be able to run it when when you want to, and throw it when you want to.
Getting ready for prime time games, do you treat it any differently? I know the team talks about it, they like the attention, but there's pressure that comes with it too.
Oh, sure, yeah. We want pressure every single rep of every single day, and then that way you just fall back to that, and you're ready to, is it different? Absolutely. Do you recognize that? Absolutely. But hopefully our preparation is such, both mentally and physically and emotionally, it's at a level where that's not a surprise. There's more lights and more cameras and more replay angles and all that stuff, and that's just all the external stuff, again, that we have no control over. You just have to manage it and go.
How close do you feel that Trey Burton is to being 100%, like in terms of conditioning, and to the point where you could use him like you did last year?
That's a great question. I don't know the percentage of anything, and that kind of, that's another thing you just have to manage, and obviously would love to have every single guy on our team 100% healthy, and that's never going to happen in a football season from here on out. And so you manage that on a daily basis, kind of with everybody.
What kind of comfort did you see from David Montgomery when he got in a rhythm with his carries?
Yeah, I think people saw what we saw at times of just his desire, his physicality. He's a guy that just did almost everything right in terms of aiming points and all those things. There's still stuff he can clean up for sure. The difference, that's a difference when you talk about a practice rep versus a game rep, and that your 45-degree angle might become 22.5, and all those things are different. And so and he's a perfectionist too. He's a great guy to coach in terms of, hey, this is what we'd like, and he fixes it. And so, we're excited about him, very much so.
When you bring in a guy in college who's used to running balls offense, are there any adjustments you have to make, or you guys have to make as coaches, to see if you can get him in a rhythm, or give him 2, 3, 4 carries in a row, something he's used to?
Sure, and that's part of it again with everybody. That you don't. There's in the NFL. There's not a lot of backups from college. That weren't their featured guy, and so
We were running.
Yeah.
He was the only one
Right.
who really carried the ball a ton last year.
Right. Yes. Last year, yes. Yes. And so you're managing all those things with, Allen Robinson wants more balls. Trey Burton wants more. All those guys. And that's where you have to kind of play the psychiatrist and psychologist game with them. And then by the same token, they have to strike when the iron, while the iron's hot. When they have a chance, make the most of it. Not press. Not try to do too much when you have that. 1 or 2 reps in a row or at a time, but just be who he is.
What was your assessment of his touchdown run, both on what didn't open up for you guys and how he was able to actually get it?
Yeah, the finish, when it's a touchdown, it's great. We don't want to reach the ball on 3rd down, but if it's a touchdown, you kind of just go, hey, by the way, don't reach the ball. But if it's a fumble, you go crazy. But no, that was huge. It was huge on many levels. They were playing a front that is a stacked box front. We were down in terms of just ideal blocking numbers. We didn't have them, and so they didn't give up a touchdown the last 2 years playing that defense, and so that says again our O-line just kind of getting it started, and him finishing on an edge is a big deal, and obviously having scored enough touchdowns, they're easy to keep track of right now.
So you're okay with the reach, only if it gets across?
If it's a touchdown, if it's a fourth down, game-ending situation, end of half, end of game, that's when we want to do that. Third down, again, if it's a touchdown, you just kind of pat them on the butt and hey, don't do that next time.
Mark, with the Patterson run, when you watched that over and over and over, what was your favorite thing that worked on that play?
Probably Cody Whitehair Cody Whitehair on the backside running. James Daniels got out in front of it. The guys on the edge did a great job of getting it started. And yeah, that guy in space there's not a lot of people lined up to volunteer to tackle that dude. And so he's a dynamic guy. And it was a huge play in the game. Huge play.
Wild card is Patterson being kind of a wild card in Matt's vision. How easy or difficult is it for you to incorporate him into the offense, knowing that it's somewhat unorthodox?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's very, very easy, and then again, you're managing all the other guys, of where's, we brought up Trey, Dave Montgomery, the other backs, where's Tariq, excuse me, all the other wideouts. But yeah, he is a dynamic guy, and there's a lot of stuff that you'd love to do with him. It's just, again, a matter of managing his special teams reps in the play and the volume that he gets there. You saw him make some great plays there covering as well, but he's a great football player. He would love to be on the field every single snap, offense, defense, special team, whatever.
Do you have anybody at Oregon or before who was similar in that a dynamic returner? No, nobody.
Well, we had some dynamic returners, but not. What does he weigh? I don't know what are his digits?
6'2",
He's big. He's big and fast and powerful and loves everything about football. And so, we have some great players, but nothing that looked like that coming down. Slightly bigger than. Now, DeAnthony did a great job with, in the return game and would cover kicks and would love that part of it, but you have to kind of tape two DeAnthonys together to make him.
Mark, with Anthony Miller, in terms of kind of unlocking things and getting him going, how much of that, or how do you balance that process with the coaches and scheming and the quarterback and then the receiver?
Yep. And this is, we had 4 different questions about it. This is a great example of early in the season. it's why isn't so-and-so making more we need to make more plays, period. And that's on all of us. But the distribution of how that happens, it's kind of always, early season deal where, hey, these 2 guys are doing something. What about these guys? What about that guy? And I think that'll all come. I think Anthony, from a mental standpoint in this last game, did a great job. He ended up playing, a lot of reps and played well. I thought he was when you watch that tape, watch those last 2 plays of him running down the middle, he makes that happen. Just an unselfish roll down the middle of the field, opened up A-Rob and Mitch, made a great play. We protected well. And so that's something that isn't overlooked. But he didn't touch the ball. And that's where you gotta celebrate that just as much as the catch. All those unselfish things. The guys on the perimeter blocking for CP. That's just as important as carrying the ball. It's not as sexy and cool and all that stuff, but it's vital.
Mark, we heard from Matt about how he showed the team the Texans and Saints finish. Yeah. And I'm curious, he talked to us just a minute ago about how before he showed the team, the coaches were talking back and forth about situations and what you would call. What did you process from that sequence in the Saints game? And what were you thinking as a guy who's been a head coach and someone who's part of this offense now?
Yeah, I mean, timeouts at that point are gold, absolute gold. And I thought the best decision that we made collectively, Nags 100%, was not challenging that, was it a first down, was it not? Because it was close, probably was a first down. If you burn that timeout right there, it doesn't happen. You don't make that happen. And so just our guys being totally dialed into those situations and that kind of stuff just validates everything you talk about. Hey, this could come up. And you think it might be week 15 or next year on week 8, but it just happened. It was the next game, and so that just validates everything from here on out. And our guys are dialed into that stuff. And
how would you characterize the intensity of those types of situations as a coach, where the management has to be absolutely spot on?
Very, very intense. Oftentimes, the good or bad, however you look at it, there was a break. There was a long timeout. And so you had a little bit more time to go, hey, should we challenge this? Talking to Brad Goldsberry, our analytics guy, does an awesome job. And so that was a little bit, quote unquote, easier. It's usually, a split second, go, no go, timeout, no timeout, whatever this, clock, timeout, all those kind of just those things you have to play over and over again instantaneously.
When you think back to last September, and you guys got off to a little bit of a bumpy offensive start and then hit the Tampa game, what do you recall about what that sort of outburst did for Mitch psychologically and breaking the ice and sort of getting things going?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it. Everybody from just a collective confidence of just cutting it loose, seeing all the things that we've talked about and worked on come to fruition. That has to be validated by results on the field. And I thought we reacted better to adversity or whatever that right word is. It's hard to win in Denver. It's hard. Somebody's told me that it's the first time been 0-2 in 20 years. That's something, and we did what it took. It certainly wasn't easy. It wasn't, 79 yards passing there in the fourth quarter. That's, nobody loves that statistic, but to just scratch and claw and make a play down the stretch and block Von Miller and Bradley Chubb and the rest of those dudes and make a play to win, that on some level you have to take the good and rinse, repeat, and then flush everything else. But we need to play better and coach better everywhere.
Thanks, everybody. Locker room's open.
You'll find some. You'll find some. How you doing? Good.
Chris, we've seen the video of Matt reacting to the kick going through from the sideline camera. He's pumping his fist, but I think you escaped the cameras. How did you react?
I think I dropped down to the knee and thanked the good Lord, to be honest with you. And I was just happy. That was a roller coaster, and I don't advise that ride for everyone.
I'm curious, what was his max distance that day at Denver in the altitude?
Going that way, it was going to be long. I mean, I felt like we were obviously well within it, but we could have gone a long ways going that way there.
It was 60 plus.
I would obviously at the end of the game there. Yeah, we would have tried that. Yeah, I mean, give yourself a shot.
Eddie said he came to you before the kick and said, "This one's for you." Obviously, that shows the confidence he had. But what did that mean to you, given this process that led to that point?
I'm real happy for him how it ended, and real pleased. I mean, he's fought, and at the same time as we reminded him, and he understands it's just week 2, and there's a lot of football, and as I've explained that. This game is the most important game, and if we don't play well in this game, obviously what happened in the game means nothing. But for him to do that means a lot, and we have good trust. We have, we're a family, and I think that's important.
He said he was like praying for the opportunity to get that kick to win the game. I mean, is that something that every kicker has, or does every kicker need to have that?
Well, you want every kicker to have that. I will say this: if you go back and watch the TV copy. And when you watch him line up, and if you just look at his eyes, there's no doubt he was laser focused. That thing was going through.
At the start of the season, Matt indicated that you guys might be kind of conservative with him as far as what you would try, and then we saw that in the Green Bay game. Now that he went through what he did on Sunday, is it kind of like, are you taking the training wheels off and letting him go from however long he can kick at this point?
We were conservative in the Green Bay game. Okay. No, I mean, I think every kick's different, and I think we just have to. I think we have to continue to be smart and other factors that go into game to give ourselves an opportunity to win the game. He hit a couple 50 yards there. He has that in him. I mean, there's no doubt. And we've done it a lot in practice. I have confidence in him doing that. I think at the same time, wind elements, who you're playing against, score, timeouts, all those things. Those come into factors. But we're still going to be smart, just like we would be with any other player.
Is he out of the probationary period? I guess where there's no hesitation to try him from distances that he can hit.
If weather permitting in field and all those things, then we will always do that. To use your word of training wheels, I wouldn't go that far. No, he's been raised by two great parents, and he knows what he needs to do, and his focus doesn't change. I mean, he's a good person. Good things happen to good people, and he knows he has such a great foundation that he's not going to change, and I'm not worried about that at all. We just have to help him, just like we would even if he did miss it, to refocus. And this is the next game. I mean, this is the next big test for him and for us. So that's what we're focused on.
Mark just talked about with Patterson, putting him in the game, but also acknowledging that you got to save some bullets for special teams. What role do you have in determining how much Cordero should be playing offense versus?
I don't have any role in how much he should play offense. I mean, you want Cordell playing as much as you can. He's a good football player, and you know, I think my job as a special teams coach always obviously is seeing how much they are playing, how many phases that you can use them, and then going through the course of the game, if there's an injury or whatever, you got to make adjustments. But we want him out on the field for us.
What was it like being without Sherrick on your units last week?
I told guys they just have to step up, and I thought guys did that. So that's the life of special teams.
Chris, obviously teams aren't going to kick to Cordero Patterson, or at least not often. Statistically or strategically, are you guys happy with the 25-yard line? Is that considered good starting position?
I was just looking at the stats the other day. Now there's a little bit more information going back to last year. I think that if you start at the 25-yard line, I think you score roughly like 30% of the time, get some type of points out of there. The next highest yard line actually in this little compare, I did the 20 to 25, is really the 23-yard line. So am I happy with the 25? I mean, I want to bring the ball out. I really do. And there's going to come a time and point there that we want to do that. You want to be able to put pressure on that coverage team. But I think you still have to be smart about when you're doing it. But, there's, like we've talked about before, a lot of factors that go into that. But, if you don't bring it out, you have zero chance of getting the ball past the 25. I think realistically for offenses, all offense, that's a 75-yard drives in the NFL just don't happen repeatedly. So I think you have to try to get something sparked in the return game.
Is there anything you can do to scheme or try and encourage them to kick the ball, Patterson?
No, I wish I could, send the coach a nice bottle of wine or something. But no, I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. I just think you just have to keep preaching. If he does make a mistake, we have to be able to take advantage of it. And that's kind of the season we're in right now.
Do you have like a line in the end zone, without obviously giving it away, that you tell Cordero, like, hey, if you're inside this line in the end zone, we feel comfortable with you taking it out, as opposed to...
I feel comfortable with him as long as he's not on the back end line. I'm not for sure, but that's kind of it's a universal signal now.
How much control does a punter have over the bounce, other than maybe that vertical drop? Pat got a great one.
A great one. I think kind of a soccer term. You hear him say lucky or unlucky, and I think that's kind of goes into the punter deal. I mean, if he gets a good bounce, you were lucky. If you don't, it's just kind of a good hit, but unlucky.
When does return season start? Is that another month?
I don't know. With the way the weather is today, it could prolong it a little bit. All fly today.
Global warming?
I don't. It's not my area.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, Pat.
Good.
Hi, good to see everybody.
Good to see you, Chuck. We were talking with Matt a little bit earlier about Eddie Goldman and some of the maybe unheralded contributions he makes. Early in your time with him, what enables him, what about Eddie lends itself to those types of contributions?
Yeah, as you guys know, Eddie's a man of few words, and he just one of those guys that comes in and does his job. It's a tough job. When you sit inside, you play, the interior defensive line, whether you're an end in our system or a nose like Eddie in our system. I mean, down after down after down. Whether it's single block or double block, you got, double team, you got 350, you got up to 700 pounds, weighing on you down after down after down. But Eddie's, again, he just does a great job. He comes to work every single day. He's big and he's strong and he's talented and all that stuff. And again, he doesn't say much, but you don't see, stat-wise, it isn't always going to show up for those guys. But when you're in the right gap and you're getting knocked back and you're staying square and you're not getting cut out of your gap and you're making plays here and there and you're hustling and you're rushing the pass or you're pushing the pocket and then you're getting out and you're making plays on screens and things like that, it just, he gives you everything he's got, every single down, and every day you get the same thing. So it's not surprising to see him play that way on game day.
Chuck, conventional wisdom is that for play action to be effective, you have to establish the run. But Washington has not really established the run yet. They're really good on play action. What have you seen from Keenum in terms of his ability to have success on that?
Yeah, they've done a great job, and he's completing almost 70% of his passes overall. They still have a viable option back there, future first ballot Hall of Famer that. You can't just say, just because they're where they're at, with their rush offense right now, we've got to do a great job. It always starts with stopping the run, and they've got a big, physical offensive line. They got a bunch of experience there. You got AP back there. They got Thompson who comes in, and he's a change of pace guy, and so they can beat you that way. So you still got to honor that. People still load up the box, so you get in single high defense. You still got one-on-one coverage. You get linebackers to bite up. They do a great job with selling the run on their play action with their offensive line. Callahan does a great job coaching those guys. So it opens up big cavities in the back end, between your second and third levels. And then you get one-on-one, big post routes, what happened to us in the first game against Green Bay. You get play action pass, they max protect, you're rushing four guys, linebackers bite up, they can't get back, and then these big posts are run away from the corner, so they're difficult plays. So they had a 69-yard touchdown pass, either last week or against Philly, whichever one it was, but they do a great job of it. And so between the the run game, the play action, the boots, the waggles, the throwbacks, the screen game, it's difficult, because if it's not there, then he checks it down, and then everybody's turned and they got their backs turned and they're trying to find all those crossers, and then they hit a back on a check down, and then you're having a hard time trying to get him on the ground.
Matt Nagy talked about this past Sunday where you didn't call the timeout, or you didn't challenge the spot of the ball play. He mentioned your voice as one of those key ones in deciding to hold that timeout, which obviously was needed with the 1 second left. What was that scenario like through your perspective?
Well, there's a lot going on, and he did a great job, managing that whole thing. And we got the timeout. The first one he called was much needed. We were out of gas, and it was our own fault because we didn't get off the field. We ended up playing 34 plays in that fourth quarter, and that's because we couldn't get off the field. And you give up 4th and 2 and then a 4th and 10, and it just killed us, and we were out of gas. So it was real timely to call the one that he did, give us a chance to catch our breath, and then obviously coming off the game, the Saints game, and having that one in your pocket, when they missed the PAT, but we get the penalty, we got to go back and defend the 2-point, and obviously wasn't successful, on that, but to have the ability to have that thing still in your pocket, I know defensively if it was flipped, and they got 30 seconds and no timeout, it's huge difference. You're going to play that whole thing differently, and they had to play it differently. And so, he did a great job. And, we were lined up, and we were fortunate because, we got to see the formation, and the motion, before their delay of game. So they came out and lined up the exact same way. So we didn't feel like we needed another, you call it a Kodak. We didn't feel like we needed another one. We just needed to execute better, that's all. I could have put them in better spots, from a call standpoint, and we could have executed better.
Chuck, with Kyle Fuller, he's extremely quiet. When we talk to him, we don't get much out of him, hardly ever. What has he been like for you to work with behind the scenes? What could you tell us about the way he approaches
He's a great pro. I don't think there's anybody on our team, the entire team that probably watches and studies, more tape than Kyle. He comes to work, every single day. He puts the time in. His preparation is really good. So he's been good. Again, he's not a man of many words, but he's a smart guy, and he takes a lot in. He listens a lot, takes a lot in. He asks great questions. He knows football inside and out.
Have you had a long conversation with him at any point, or is it usually just a couple?
I've had a long conversation with all these guys all the time, so there's always constant communication, and so we're very upfront and we're very forthright with one another, coaches to players, players to coaches, players to players, so yeah, we're all on the same page.
Is he a tough guy to get to know when you're coming in on a new job because of how quiet he is, or is he opened up to you?
No, he's not.
Chuck,
No, it's been easy. He's been great.
I'm sorry.
Kyle's? Yeah, I mean, him and Buster did a great job, because they were a two-receiver set over there, and we brought, obviously, max pressure, try to get the ball out, disrupt the ball, tip it at the line of scrimmage, affect the trajectory of it and all that stuff. And, him and Buster did a great job of communicating and getting on the same page, because they ran a pick route and they passed the thing off. So kudos to those two guys. Kudos to, Deshae and Sean. They do a great job coaching those guys and showing them exactly, from film study what they're going to do. And, they go out and they show them that stuff. We practice that stuff, and then it happens on game day. They run the route, they pass it off, and he's sitting right there to make that play. And it was one heck of a play. Obviously we'd love him to, keep his balance and keep his knee off the ground and go score on the thing. But it was huge. It was huge.
Could it be natural for defensive players to occasionally press to try to make a big play when the offense is in a funk?
Great question, and we address them all the time with that, and you can't do that. It's about doing your job. Down after down after down, and we always say process is 60 minutes, one play at a time. All you got, don't judge, and we don't judge anything. We don't judge the next play, the last play, good or bad. We just try to stay steady. That's $500 fine. So we've got a can in the defensive room, and you can just drop the money on the defensive room, and it goes to the D block party at the end of the year. So we really appreciate it. The guys will too.
Percentage on that for?
We'll adjust. Be only $50. But anyway, so we talk about that all the time, with the guys, and you got your blinders on, and it's just go out and do your job. Because as soon as you start pressing, you think, hey, we got to go do this or go do that, and I got to make a play. That's when bad things happen.
What message are you giving them on takeaways? You guys got the one, but it's been the only one. It was super timely with a group that has shown the capability to get a lot more.
Yeah, no, it's something that, we practice every single day. Our coaches do a great job individual. We have circuits. We show video. We've shown tons of video. This week what's crazy is we took the ball away a lot, during training camp, and we made a bunch of plays, and had interceptions and forced fumbles and recovered fumbles and all those kind of things and strip sacks, and they'll come. Again, the same thing with that. If you press, you're a batter in a slump and you can't, put the bat on the ball. If you go press and the harder you swing, the worse it gets. So you just keep doing your job. Tight coverage mixed with rush, pressure, punching the ball out, the peanut punch, all that stuff. And again, it's a byproduct. If it happens in practice, we had 4 in practice yesterday. Made a huge emphasis before the first day, showed clips, and went out, and guys, usually what you emphasize you get. So we went out yesterday, and guys did a nice job, and we had the ball out. So again, whatever you see during the week, is probably going to show up, on game day.
Chuck, have you found yourself on the sideline in these 2 games? Is your instinct to run out and do something that you did as a head coach, or jump into something, and you have to pull back?
I stay in my lane.
Matt talked about how he really likes not having to worry about the defense, and says he really doesn't walk over there unless he's got something. Is there I don't want to say autonomy, but is there
I think everybody just kind of gets lost in their job and what they're supposed to do, and I'm just trying to make sure that, we stay one step ahead, and I, as a defensive staff and a play call, all that stuff, we just put these guys, in the best possible position to be successful and give them the best chance to play and play well and, all that other stuff. Really glad I don't have to worry about all that stuff anymore. There's enough. I got enough on my plate. I can, there's only a small amount that I can handle. But he does a great job, and been at places where been called plays and, guys are on the headset, and as soon as you call like a max pressure, you hear, oh, Jesus, before the ball's ever snapped, they just, put the whammy on the whole play, and the coach doesn't do that, he's rooting for pressure, which is great. So he does that with all of us. He lets everybody, he does a great job delegating and letting guys be themselves and coach. And, when he's got to intercede and he's got something that can help us, obviously he's right there to do it. So he's phenomenal at that.
Chuck, going back to Fuller for a second, the times when he's maybe 5 or more yards off the line of scrimmage, what is advantageous about that type of positioning when he's
Who are you talking about?
Fuller? In particular, there were a couple completions in front of him where he's backed off. What's advantageous about
Again, there's, based on the call, based on the down and distance, based on the situation, all those things come into play, whether you're playing off, whether you're playing press. It's zero and you have no help. You got a safety over the top of you. Everything comes into play there. And so, those guys are going to line up, according to the call, the situation, who they're on. And so, if they're running speed outs and they're catching 5 yards in front of you and you tackle it or he runs out of bounds, at the end of the day, that probably ain't going to kill you. If it's 3rd and 5, and that happens, to any of us, that we don't want that to happen. Obviously you got to play it a little bit different. And again, I put it on myself. I got to do a better job of putting those guys from a call standpoint in better position. Thank you, guys.